Good afternoon. Today I'm going to be making a recipe from the book Adventures in Greek Cooking, The Olive and the Caper. The recipe I'm going to be making is a dish called Prassopita. It is a appetizer typically or a side course to a meal. It is a leek and potato pie with olives and dill. And I will be making small triangles rather than a large pie. So come along, enjoy the trip. For this recipe, we're going to need a couple of different things around the kitchen. First two things is going to be a peeler and then some measuring spoons. We're also going to need a cutting board and a good quality chef's knife. We're going to need some preparation bowls and some spoons and spatulas. We're also going to need a mortar and pestle, some ingredient cups, just to help in the preparation. We're also going to need a grater to grate the potatoes. Then we're going to have a hot plate so that we can saute the leeks, get them softened up before we put them into the pie. Then for the final prep, we're also going to need some pans, obviously, to put the Prassopita in the oven. So here we are. To make this recipe, we're going to need a few things. We're going to need olive oil. We're also going to need 3 medium leeks. We're going to need 1 egg, a tablespoon of milk, 2 medium potatoes. I've got 3 smaller ones here. We're also going to need about 6 ounces of olives. We're going to need some Parmesan cheese. Then we're going to need some dill, fresh dill, sea salt, cayenne pepper, and phyllo dough. So to prepare the leeks, the first thing we need to do is we need to trim off all of these leaves up here, the extensions, because all we're really going to be using is from about here down. And then I'm going to cut them in half and rinse them out. If you cut them in half lengthwise, you can open them up and under the water, and you can get the dirt out of there. And then I'll chop them up and prepare them for the fry pan. Here I have the leeks sliced and ready to be cleaned out. You can see how well they open up. Just get in there and get the dirt out from between the pieces there. It's mainly just going to happen on the first couple of layers. You also want to be careful up where you cut it, because that's where it also accumulates. So take your time, just make sure they're clean. When you're slicing the leeks, you just want to make real thin slices. And one of the things that I like to do is just walk the knife across the board while I'm slicing through. And you can see how I'm moving with a forward motion, always slicing rather than trying to just chop through. So that's about the size we need. And I'll finish up the prep on this and start to fry it up. So here we are preparing to cook the leeks. Get some olive oil in there, heat that up for a moment, and then I will start to saute these leeks here and wilt them down. It takes about 10 minutes or so. I'm not going to have the pan on the whole time, or I should say the camera on the pan the whole time. So yeah, just wilt these down and I'll show you what it looks like when it's done. See you in a minute. Okay, I have a second small batch of leeks sizzling in the pan right now, but this is what they look like when they are finished up, and they're all nice and loose. They're wilted, and they are ready for the mixture now. They do need to cool down a little bit, and then we'll put everything together and start our assembly of the phyllo. See you in a minute. Our next step is going to be to wash and then peel the potatoes. and then we're going to run them through a grater. So get some of these done here. Just peel them up. All nice and white, because you don't want to have the skin in there for this phyllo pastry. And I'll continue. Well, for the potatoes, we're not really going to need a fine grating, so I'm not going to use this side. I'm going to use a larger grating. So, just get this done. Here I have olives that have been rinsed and drained, and now I'm just going to chop them up. Oop. Wouldn't you know it? There's a pit in that one. These aren't pitted olives, but sometimes they end up having a pit. Anyways, we want them finely chopped, so I'll go ahead and get that done. And now we have to grate the Parmesan. So for the Parmesan, we are going to use the small side, just because we wanted to get a little bit finer so that when we mix it, it just flows into the mix a little bit better. So I'll go ahead and I'll do that. Now if you buy sea salt like I do, you're going to have to grind it down just to make it very fine for when you incorporate it into the mixture. So, got a mortar and pestle, and just grind that down for a little bit, just so that it goes into the mixture well. And the last thing we need to do before we put the whole mixture together is go ahead and chop up the fresh dill. This is about 2 tablespoons. That. Okay, the last small step we need to do before we go ahead and mix everything together is whisk together the tablespoon of milk with a large egg. It'll take a while to do this, and then we'll put everything together. Alright, I've got the cooled leeks here. Then I have the salt and cayenne pepper, the egg mixture with the milk. Then I have the potatoes, and then there's the dill. Then I also have the olives and the cheese. So I'll go ahead and I'll mix all this together, and then I will prepare the rest of the dish with the phyllo dough. So let me get all this mixed together. Whoops, there we go. And I'll be back in a minute. Now you can see that the mixture is fully put together. It's nice and colorful with green and red and the white in there for the potatoes. And now I'll set up the phyllo pastry, and we'll get together and make the little triangles. One of the things I forgot to mention was that you should have a good brush to brush the phyllo with oil after every time you roll up a triangle. I'm going to cut the phyllo right now. I'll cut it on the board, and then I'll transfer it to the counter where I'll do the rolling. But it should be okay. So the phyllo's rolled up. believe there are about 18 sheets. But I don't need to have them too long, so I spread it out, and then I go ahead and I cut them into lengths. It's pretty thick, you gotta press down pretty hard. These are about 2-inch triangles, which is about what I normally do when I make triangle pastries. And you're going to have a little bit left over. It's always good for having sample tastes. Alright, so there's that. And now I'll set it on the counter, and I'll get back with you, and we'll start rolling. So right now you can see I have a generous amount of olive oil, and I've stacked all my phyllo sheets. It's about 3/4 of an inch thick right now. You want to do it this way just so that the phyllo stays moist. And you notice I have the plastic underneath, but just brush thin layer of oil. Set that. And let me grab a spoon here. And then, sorry you can't see this on camera, but I'm grabbing some of the filling. Just put that right down there. That's about all you need. Don't need that much. Then you take, I usually try to take 2 sheets at a time. Looks like 1. So, if you take 2 sheets at a time, it actually saves a bit of time because it doesn't break apart then. And you just roll, just like a flag. And then when you're done, you actually have the second sheet. You go ahead and you put a little bit of oil on that to keep it closed. And then you brush it. Nice and easy, just like that. And you place it on the pan. And then we'll cover the whole pan. We got 2 of them here, so it'll take me a while, and I'll be back. So here's the finished product. The Prassopita took me about 30 minutes or so to get all this set up, and I'm going to go put it in the oven right now. I'll show you what it looks like when it comes out. So we'll see you soon. Well, here's the finished Prassopita. It was in the oven for about 45 minutes at 375 degrees. Takes a little bit less time than the recipe in the book, simply because it's made into smaller portions. The best way to have this is actually with tzatziki sauce. A nice, good garlicky sauce would go perfect with this. The potatoes and the leeks and the olives. It's just a wonderful flavor. So, happy eating.